Hey, movie lovers, Dream Recaps here. Today, I'm going to illustrate a sci-fi horror movie. Spoiler alert. Get your popcorn ready, relax, and enjoy. At a power plant outside of town, people are celebrating a co-worker's birthday, when all of a sudden, they notice something unusual on the security cameras. When a worker goes to check out the moving shadow in the shaft, they are attacked by an unknown creature right away. When the guy tries to go back to the office, a group of creatures follows him and starts killing everyone inside. As soon as the eclipse covers the sun, the monsters show up all over the world and kill millions of people and destroy cities. There is a war going on during the eclipse, and the news calls it Judgment Day because soldiers are sent to fight these monsters. Millions of people die and a lot of resources are lost in the battle. But in the end, all the creatures are killed and people start to rebuild. In case the creatures ever decide to come back, they build barriers called gates to keep them out. 15 years have passed, and now everything is back to normal. Dave cleans for a company that doesn't pay him much, even though he has to go into the shafts to get rid of dead animals. Laura is a teacher at the nearby school, and is friends with Milton, another teacher, who keeps asking her to go on dates. Laura got divorced from Dave a long time ago and is still working out some problems, but she finally says yes to Milton's invitation today. At the same time, her son Tyler is meeting up with his girlfriend Maddie, who is scared about the eclipse that is coming up. In the last 15 years, there have been many eclipses, but nothing bad has happened. Tyler tells her not to worry. At the same time, someone from one of the gates calls Officer Garrett and asks him to come over because they have confirmed that there is major seismic activity and that confinement has been approved. Garrett gets the sense that this time it's not a test when he gets to the gate. As soon as he checks on all of them, a power box goes off, cutting off the whole system. Dave picks up Tyler at Laura's house in the city. While Tyler plays video games, the parents get into a fight. Laura found out that she was pregnant with Tyler during the last disaster. Dave wasn't there for her, and she still doesn't forgive him. Tyler cuts them off and gets to go with his dad. Uncle Ted calls Dave in the middle of the night to say that he is sure the new day of judgment is tomorrow and wants Dave to bring his family to his shelter before the eclipse starts. Tyler is upset to see on the news that millions of dead fish have ended up on beaches all over the world. This is one of the signs that people spotted 15 years ago. The first monster shows up at the gate at that very moment, sneaking up the stairs in the dark. Laura calls Dave at the same time to say that she saw the news and wants Tyler to come home, because Milton has already booked a shelter. After an argument about whether Tyler should stay with Dave, Tyler gets a text message that forces him to sneak out of the house. Dave finally finds him, but all he finds is a note with Maddie's phone number on it in his room. Milton constantly rushes Laura because they need to get to the shelter quickly, considering that it's getting full. When Laura tells Milton that Tyler is missing, Milton uses special software to track the boy's location and finds him at the skate park. Tyler is there with Maddie, who is scared and nervous because her parents have left. Tyler says he won't be like his dad and will never leave her alone. Suddenly, a loud cry is heard, and huge groups of birds appear in the sky. This is another sign that the time has come. People in the park run away in fear, and soon the roads are full of families trying to get out of town. While stuck in a huge traffic jam, Dave sees the birds flying by and decides to continue his search on foot. When workers at the gate hear some strange sounds, they check the systems. Suddenly, a monster shows up and starts attacking one of the men. While the other soldiers fire, Garrett runs away. It looks like regular bullets don't hurt the beast, though. Soon after, Dave finally finds Tyler and Maddie just in time for the city's sirens to go off. Laura and Milton show up just in time, and the three of them are taken away in Milton's car. There is only about an hour left until the eclipse, and the city is a mess. All the roads are backed up with people trying to get away. The family gets stuck for a while and sees cultists walking around the cars, their painted faces, and strong belief that the end is near, scaring people. When Milton finally sees a chance, he speeds up his car and gets the family to the shelter. A lot of people are begging to get inside, but the military says that only women and children are allowed. In this area, too, there is chaos. Travis is told by Dave to go into the shelter with Laura and Maddie, but once they get there, Tyler changes his mind and runs back to his dad, telling him he would never leave him behind. The women follow him outside, and right then, the scoreboard shows that the shelter is full. The group quickly gets back to the car and talks about their options. Dave wants to go to Ted's hideout in the desert, but Milton suggests hiding at the school because it's closer and has a basement. Soon after, they get stuck in more traffic, so they get out of the car just in time for an earthquake and the start of eclipse. As the world gets darker, the monsters start to come out to attack. As they did 15 years ago, they take over the city right away and start killing everyone. Milton gets angry because this is his car, and he knows how to save everyone. Dave wants to drive and says they should leave the city. There is a fight, and punches are thrown, but the fight is stopped when a flying monster jumps in and takes Milton away. Dave shoves Laura into the car while she screams and then takes control in order to get his family out of the city. As they drive along the canal, they talk about different ideas about where the monsters came from and whether they were sent by God or not. For some reason, the car runs out of gas eventually, and Dave wants to get a new one. He parks next to a bunch of empty cars and starts to look inside. To his surprise, he finds dead bodies inside. When he finally finds one that's empty, he gets inside. But the driver, who is hiding in the back seat, pulls him down and tells him there's a monster nearby. It keeps looking near the cars for more victims, and when it gets close to the two men, thankfully, it doesn't see them and keeps going. The monster then finds one of the bodies and starts to eat it. Dave slowly and quietly rolls the car back to Laura and the kids. Now that both cars are next to each other, Laura and the kids try to get from one to the other. The monster still sees them and comes after them, even though they don't make noise. The old man gets out of the car and rubs salt on the monster. For a moment, it stays still, but then it jumps on the man and starts eating him. While hordes of monsters come from all directions to attack the city, the family finally drives away from the area, taking an empty road in the mountains. They finally get to Ted's hideout, which is a reinforced concrete bunker, even though the doors are locked and there are cameras on the roof. No one comes out when the family screams and hits the door, pleading to be let in. They have no idea that Ted is at his computer, watching them on the cameras, while someone points a gun at his head. Right then, a huge group of monsters appears in the mountains and starts running to the sheltered area. As his family is scared, Dave grabs an iron tire to protect them, but just then, the bunker door opens, and they all rush inside. It's a surprise to see Garrett when the family meets Ted and Stella, his wife. His father used to be friends with Ted in the war, and he got separated from his unit, so he came here to ask for help. When Dave sees that Garrett has a gun, it makes him suspicious. The group then eats together, but they can't help but watch on the monitors as the monsters try to break down the door, which makes everyone afraid. Also, the radio doesn't help because all they can hear are screams. Garrett tells Maddie that the monsters can feel light and heat, but he doesn't know if they can see people's souls. Besides that, he talks about how he made it through the first Judgment Day. He worked at a refinery, and when the monsters came in, he jumped into a salty mud pond. He buried himself and had to watch as the monsters killed all of his co-workers and friends. While Garrett is listening to Ted's story, Dave is told to get and hide a knife. However, Ted doesn't know that outside, a monster that looks like a centipede is crawling through a small hole in the mesh that covers the window. Then Garrett says he'll be on watch duty first, so Ted looks at Dave thoughtfully and tells the others they can stay and play cards instead of going to sleep. Garrett sees the move, though, and pulls the gun out of its pocket. This forces Dave to put down the knife while he talks about how Ted didn't want him to stay and how Stella felt sorry for him. He made it through the first time, and he's set on making it through again no matter what. Tyler then charges at Garrett and tries to take the gun, but Garrett pushes him away. They start to argue, but Maddie stops them by saying that they can't hear the monsters anymore. Then, the monster that looks like a centipede jumps out of the wall and bites Stella. Ted rips the thing off of his wife's neck and pours salt on it. Dave punches Garrett to get his gun and tries to shoot the thing. Despite all the bullets, the little monster is killed by Maddie's knife. After that, they tie Garrett up and try to stop Stella's bleeding, but they will need to see a doctor. They then see on the monitor that a huge animal is hitting the front door over and over again as it tries to get in. Dave tells them to leave, but Ted doesn't want to, because he thinks his wife won't make it outside. Stella tells him to leave and tells him about the tunnel that goes under the bunker and leads to the mountains. The group doesn't believe Garrett when he says he has a full-tank car and can take them all to the gate. Garrett then tells them that helping them will benefit him. After deciding to leave, Ted tells them he has a lot of weapons, and everyone gets ready to fight. While the others go into the tunnel, Dave opens the front door and kills the first animal that comes through. He then joins the others. When they finally get out of the tunnel, they see that Stella is having trouble walking, because she is also starting to change into a beast. After that, they're walking down a road when Tyler sees a monster standing there. After noticing that the animal looks dead, Maddie reaches out to touch it, but Tyler stops her, and Long Tentacle comes out of the ground and grabs her legs as she turns around. It tries to pull her away. Tyler and Dave hold Maddie back while she screams out loud, and Laura shoots at the tentacle to make it return back. The group runs away once Maddie is free, and Garrett talks Dave into releasing him, so he can help if there is another attack. What no one else knows is that Dave is covering up an arm injury. When they finally get to the top of the mountain, They see that the city is on fire. They are so sad when they find Garrett's car and find that it won't start. At that moment, monsters appear on top of the mountain and start running toward them. Garrett tries desperately to start the engine again, while Stella takes Ted's gun to end things before she finishes shifting. Ted fights her right away until he gives her back the gun and begs her to get in the car. Dave knows there's no way out and pulls Ted back. Stella waits for the monsters to show up, and they eat her right away. Garrett finally gets the car to start, and the group gets away, leaving the monsters behind. They pick up a radio signal on the way and hear that almost all of the shelters were destroyed because they couldn't stand up to the attack. By the time they get to the gate, the door is open and no one is answering the radio. When the group carefully gets inside, they find that the power is out. Garrett and Dave decide to fix it, while the others look for a first aid kit because Ted has a cut on his back. While Dave fixes the electricity, the others take care of Ted. Garrett tells them that the gate was ready for a second invasion, and a lot of salt water was pumped in to fill the hole, but it was too deep. Dave and Garrett start to make their way back once the power is back on. Suddenly, Garrett feels blood on his hand and looks up to see a dead body. At the same time, something in the darkness roars. There are only 2 hours left of the eclipse, so the two quickly go back to the group to talk about their choices. Garrett offers to hide in a chemical warehouse because its doors can't be damaged by blasts. As soon as they leave the medical bay, a shifted person attacks Garrett. He and Dave have to fight it off. Even though they beat the beast, the noise they made has made more monsters come after them. Fearing for his life, Garrett quickly runs through a door and shuts it behind him, leaving everyone behind. Afterwards, he uses some kind of injection to begin opposing the change. Dave moves his family to a different room and sees dispersal lines. This means the tank is on the other side of the wall. He comes up with a plan. To keep the monsters out, he will pour the salt water through the tank pipes. Laura gives him a kiss before he leaves. The family quickly leaves when the door breaks. As Dave moves through the ventilation, he sees a monster in the room eating its victim. As he approaches the tank, he makes an effort to be very quiet. As he turns on the faucet, and water starts to flow into the containers. After that, Dave climbs back up, but the monster can feel him and starts to chase him, grabbing his leg. As Dave fights back, he throws salt at the monster, which makes it disintegrate. While this is going on, the others are attacked by monsters, and Tyler fires at them. Out of the blue, Dave's voice can be heard over the loudspeaker asking them to set off the fire alarm. As the monsters get closer, Ted tells Tyler to protect the family with an axe before going after them, but as he does, several of them attack him at once and kill him quickly. Tyler keeps shooting until he runs out of bullets. He then sets off the fire alarm, which makes salt water fall on the monsters and make them scream in pain as they crumble into dust. That's when the eclipse ends, and all the monsters start going back to their world through the gate, causing another earthquake. Garrett, who is going crazy from the sudden shift, is found by Laura and the kids as they try to get moving. Before he can shoot again, Dave comes out from behind and hits Garrett in the head with a fire extinguisher. He shoots Tyler and hits them on the shoulder. As soon as Dave gets back to his family, a huge monster rises from the ground and swallows Garrett entire. As soon as the monster kicks down the door, the family runs into the medical unit and makes a cylinder of salty mixture to throw at it. It kills it right away. When they go outside afterward, they see that the world has been completely destroyed. They are now ready to start rebuilding. Subscribe. For more videos like this, turn on the notification and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.